He's tearing through the brush behind me, breathing hard and calling my name. Even with the wind and the driving rain, he's all I hear. The last time I saw my best friend, she called me a pathetic liar and then she punched me in the mouth. The shock of it almost kept me from feeling anything until it was over, and I had no idea what Alora was thinking in the last moment, because she didn't say. And I'm not a mind reader. Honey is. My mother was, I guess. All the women in my family right up to me, but not me. I'm thinking of that last summer as I stand on the front porch of the Mystic Rose and stare at Alora's missing poster, trying to catch my breath. I'm wondering why they chose that picture, the one with her eyes half closed. She hated that picture. Jesus, she hates that picture. I've been steeling myself for this moment since I got that phone call back in February, trying to imagine what it would be like to come home and step off the boat into La Cachette without Alora, and I knew it would be bad, but I hadn't been prepared for the poster. Hey there, and welcome back to Reading Rule, y'all. I'm Dr. Shay Parton, and I'm so excited because spooky season is upon us, y'all. Spooky season is upon us. So I'm starting this next series on a book that is just perfect for the times. Ginny Sain's Whippoorwill Award-winning Dark and Shallow Lies. So let's start as we do with the summary. Gray's best friend and twin flame, Alora, goes missing in their tiny bayou town of La Cachette, Louisiana, the self-proclaimed psychic capital of the world. Despite the number of psychics in the town, secrets abound, and no one seems to know what happened to Alora. On her quest to find her friend, Gray meets a stranger and learns things about her past that make her question everything. It's such a good book, y'all. Total page turner, couldn't put it down. So now for the analysis. There are a lot of important things that this book does surrounding depictions of place. First of all, it depicts a place and culture that are rarely featured in YA literature, rarely featured in literature at all, really, especially with any kind of treatment that honors them and their experiences. La Cachette, Louisiana is home to Cajun and Creole cultures. It's a place where a specific blending of French and English and African cultures mixed, which fostered a very specific place-connected culture that you won't find anywhere else. The topography of the geographic location, like the bayous and gators, also led to specific practices like engaging with Willie Nelson, the local resident gator, congregating on old boats, running through the swamps, how they respond to a coming hurricane, hunting fifole, and the legends and stories that have grown out of and around La Cachette. It's also connected to language practices, the use of Cajun or Acadian variety of English. Though most of the book is written in mainstream middle-class English, there are moments where characters use Cajun or Acadian that formed in that specific place. For example, Case, one of the main characters, uses Acadian more than the others, frequently using the term of endearment cher, from French, mon cher, pronounced chat, and other phrases like comment ça va. In these ways, the setting here is absolutely key to the novel, and without it, this book just wouldn't be. It's a powerful example of how place shapes both the identities of towns and of the people in them, and how the people in the towns shape the identity of the town. We get descriptions of the climate and natural environment from Gray's perspective. So, upon arriving in La Cachette, she thinks and describes for us sort of the climate and environment that she arrives into, I guess. She says, "Sweat stings the corners of my eyes, and I pull up the collar on my t-shirt to dab it away. Barely 8:30 in the morning and already 1,000,000 degrees and 500% humidity. I lived down here full-time till I was almost 9 years old, so you'd think I'd be used to it, but it always takes me a while to reacclimate after spending the school year up in Arkansas with my dad. I mean, it's hot there too, but not like this. Nowhere is hot like this, or wet like this. Spending the summer in La Cachette is like living inside someone else's mouth for 3 months out of the year. Yuck." Because Gray now spends the school year with her dad in Arkansas, it's also a really important reflection on what it means to be an insider and outsider in a rural place. La Cachette is cut off from most everywhere else by water, so the insularity of rural places is very prominent and emphasized here. And because Gray leaves and returns, she doesn't feel as much of a part of the community as she used to. But there's still times that she feels like an insider again. On page 35, she's reunited with most of her friends and says that the outsider feeling evaporates, and she knows that she's right where she belongs, and that for her, La Cachette is the only place she's ever belonged. Gray, like me and so many other folks who grew up in rural places, is an out-migrant. And I had never thought to read stories with that in mind before. But reading this one as an out-migrant, who's aware of her out-migration, it hit a little bit different. I felt like I could relate to and understand Gray a little bit better because of my out-migration and because of my experiences leaving my hometown and going back sometimes to visit. And so I felt like that was a really important opportunity for me because I could relate to her more. I could also, it gave me an opportunity to learn more about myself through reading her experiences. So she says, when I'm down here, it's like my friends and my world back in Arkansas don't exist. It doesn't work the other way around, though. Even when I'm up there running track and going to the mall and studying, La Cachette always takes up space in my head. It's like I never really leave the bayou. Not entirely. My feet stay wet, the smell of the swamp still lingers in my nose, and when I finally get back down here at the start of every summer, everything is just the way I left it, like no time has passed at all. Now for me, it's the opposite. So whenever I go home, it feels like a whole lot of time has passed. New businesses, fields gone missing and turned into parking lots, people gone and moved away, and some folks, who have moved into the community too. So despite my differences with Gray in that respect, the connection to another out-migrant was really strong for me reading this text, and it felt really important to me too. There are also other aspects of being an insider or outsider, even within a community, that I felt like were really, really important and really ripe for rich analysis. So Dempsey Fontenot, no spoilers here, but Dempsey Fontenot and his family lived on the outskirts of La Cachette, but La Cachette was still technically their community, but their physical outsiderness also reflected the sort of interactional outsiderness that existed for them within the community, and they were still seen as outsiders, which had some very real and tragic consequences for the Fontenot family. And likewise, Gray's mama, Honey, she was an insider to the community in the way that the Fontenots weren't, but she was also an outsider in some ways of her own, specifically connected to her powers and the way that she used them, and her role in that tragedy that befell the Fontenots. So that brought even more attention to her insider-outsider position. There's a lot of rich analysis that can be done with this specific theme, and I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to ruin anything, because I really want y'all to read this book because it was so, so good. Dark and Shallow Lies really has it all. It's a page-turner. It's one that I just absolutely could not put down, would not put down, with a story that's full of interest and intrigue and has a wealth of opportunity for deep and sophisticated analysis, especially where place and culture are concerned. If you haven't picked up a copy, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I really can't recommend it enough. And it's a perfect read for spooky season, you gotta get your spooky season read on, and this is such a good one. So get you a copy. There's a link to buy it in the description of this video. So if you want to buy it and support us, you can use the affiliate link to bookshop.org that's in the description here, and I'd really appreciate that. Check it out and encourage your mystery loving students to do the same. In next week's episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I'd approach teaching this text, but if you're looking for a spooky unit for the month of October, check out the reading and writing unit that I created with Rethink ELA. That's linked in the description below as well. And if you like what you heard here, would you do me a favor and like, comment, and subscribe, and maybe review the podcast if you get a moment? Even just giving it some stars would help us, with those pesky algorithms. If you're interested in learning more about teaching rural YA literature and supporting us, you can also check out literacyinplace.com, which is linked below as well. I'd appreciate, everything that you could do to support the show, telling other people about it, engaging with their social media. All of those things are really helpful and allow me to continue to do the work that I do, interacting with these books and with the authors who write them. So if you do that, it would mean a lot to me. Okay, that's it for this time. Until next time, thanks for stopping by, and come back now, would you?